Hey everybody, League of Speed here again. Sorry it took me a little while to get to this part 2 on the weight dynamics. My apologies. We're just going to wrap up the weight dynamics a little bit and so you get a better understanding. Like if you've taken physics class, you know, they say you can drop a bowling ball and you can drop a golf ball at the same time from the same height, then they're going to land the same way. Well, we got our bigger fishing weight here, and we got our smaller fishing weight here. And if we pick them up, we drop them, they land at the same time. So old Mr. Isaac Newton was right. All right, we got that out of the way. All right, so when you're talking about weight dynamics and downhill racing, we get to mess with that a little bit. You know what I mean? Because if this is the chassis right here, and we're going down the hill, and if we've got our weight back here. Let me get my trusty pointer here. All right. If we've got our weight back here, well then, instead of up here, well then as that car's going down the slope like this, get this piece of track here. Here's our downhill slope. If that car is going down the track like this, well then gravity is going to be able to work on this weight back here longer on this downhill slope than it is if it's up here. And so by the time we get to the run out, gravity will have worked a little bit longer on this back weight with its pull opposed to the weight being up here. So that's how and why you can build more momentum up by putting your weights back here when you're doing a downhill race like this. Now, like I said, when we're doing road courses or fat track, we definitely want to keep it more centered in here like we talked about last time, because it's just, you know, when you're doing the curves and everything, you don't want your tail flying all around like this, especially on a fat track. And a road course, the same thing. Road course, like we said last time, you want to keep it somewhere back here, but a little more up here, a little more balanced. But if we're strictly downhill, let's put it back here. Gravity's going to work on it longer. Like I just showed you dropping those weights, gravity works the same way. So when we position a weight further back on the downhill part of the course, well then that gravity is going to work on that longer, and therefore by theory and practice, it should build more momentum, kinetic or whatever you want to call it. That gravity should work on that weight longer, and therefore you should have more built up momentum when it gets time to hit the flat stretch. And, you know, unless you didn't wheel farm, if the guy's got his weight all the way up here and he wheel farm, he's probably still going to smoke you. So make sure you wheel farm. But anyway, that weight needs to go back here. All right, put that down. And this is actually in Fuego, that Fiera I'm building for King of the Mountain. I got the first layer here ready for this. We'll put that in there like that. Just keeping that low center of gravity going on it. Fit it in there pretty good. I got to flatten it out a little more, but you see where I've cut the corners, and it's going to fit in there. And then I'll probably be able to go up about 3 more layers. I'm hoping to get this car around the 90, 95 gram range, which I think I can, because that section right there, that's about 17 grams going on top of that right there. So that's going to be pretty good. I'm excited about that build. You know, crazy Jimmy fever, as they say. All right, and also, put this down here. I got to get up with my boy TX Chemist soon. I'm running out of cubes here. But anyway, I like to do something. I'm a general contractor by trade, and sometimes if we've got a big roof load, like a king rafter or something, you know, that's coming in way at the top of the house and it's heavy, we've got to do something called a point load, where if this is the part of the roof up here, and this is the foundation down here, this is the pier that it sits on. Well, see, sometimes that point load will transfer down. We'll get to that one wall underneath the thing. We'll have maybe like 3 studs, 4 studs here, and then it transfers to the first floor from the second floor. And then once again, you'll follow that stud pattern down where you've got like 3 or 4 studs. And so that thing transfers all the way down to that pier from the roof. And that's in building, that's called a point load. And one thing I've been messing with, because this is the fun of this thing, you can mess with stuff, you know. And so I'd like to take these cubes. Like I said, if y'all want tungsten, y'all should be sure to visit TX Chemist. He makes some good products. But I can take point loads. These things weigh 3.5, maybe a little more grams. But see, I can put that thing right there in the middle. And see, now I'm point loading. I got my point load. I got this weight of this cube all the lead that's the same, the same, well, not diameter because that's a circle, but anyway, the same, perimeter of that cube, all the way down through that lead, all the way down through this metal chassis. That's a point load. So that weight is as big as this cube and it's going straight down. That's one thing I'm experimenting with right now called a point load. And you can move that point load anywhere. I can move it in the middle like that. I can move it to the front if the interior allows. And that's one thing I do called point loading. And a lot of people have asked about, how do you get this stuff to do that? Well, you can just trim this lead. This lead is soft. So like I said, I kind of get in there, I mark it, I trim it. I get my base thing to lay in here. Actually, that might be upside down. But anyway, it fits in there. And you just trim the lead. You keep trimming it. Like, this is Lady's Choice. This is this car right here we're going to be running at King of the Mountain for Lady of Speed. So I've got a combination of stuff. I could flare out these tungsten cubes out here in the back. I really like that. Really gives this car some get up. And I've got the lead stacked and trimmed in certain places. And then I got the 2 tungsten cubes here. Then I got a little sliver of lead up here. I even found a little place to put a little bit up here. So with this being the downhill course King of the Mountain, I didn't want to be strictly downhill. So this thing right here, I think I've got pretty well balanced, but like I've always said, the proof of being the pudding. I got to re-graphite these wheels, I believe. That's still butter though. Yep, still got to graphite them. But yeah, this is going on this one right here. So this is going to be a sweet little Aston Martin. Lady Speed will be running. All right, but yeah, lead, you can trim the lead. You cannot trim this tungsten. At least I don't have a tool that'll trim it. This stuff is dense and it is hard. And so, like I said, I like the cubes because you can fit them like that. You can point load with them, like so. That's just a good thing. And now another thing when it comes to weight dynamics or just weight in the car, really, just getting weights in it. And I'm trying my best not to shake this thing, guys, so I'm sorry about that. I ain't the smallest fella in the world. All right, don't fall in love with the interiors. I'm going to tell you, if I can throw an interior out, I do. I don't even mess with it. I just chuck it. But sometimes if you want to add weight to a car, and say like these Chargers here, beautiful cars. But if you want to keep that look of that Charger, you got to cut that interior because this Charger's interior is actually the entire length of the car. So when you do a Charger like this, you got to cut it. And that fits in there. That fits in there like so. Well, trust me, it does. I think this is the right one. Let me get it. There we go. See, it fits. There's the grill. There's the thing. And it cuts. And I got this. And then when I put the back section in here, like so. All right, so I got my back section in there now, which will be glued down. It'll look right. Got my front section in there. Got my engine. And see, now I've got all this space. I got all this space in here sitting on the chassis that I can put weight in. And I'll paint these windows some certain color so it helps hide it. But anyway, that's what you do. If, like I said, if you can lose the interior, chuck the whole thing. If not, like on these Chargers, you got to have some of it for your bumpers. And so you got to do that. You got to save some of it, put it in there. And I will be, this little hole here, heck yeah, I'm going to take little pieces of lead and super glue and I'm going to pack that damn thing right there, slam full of weight, a little bit of weight up in there. That ain't going to hurt because I know I'll have most of my weight back in here because Charger Summer's going to be, basically a gravity drag. So, and here's that Fiero I'm building for King of the Mountain. Had to do the same thing here. I call this like a tonneau cover. That's where the vent was for the engine, even though they caught fire. But I got a little tonneau back here I had to take out. These two little things right here were part of the interior. So when you turn it over, I got this tonneau back here. This is gone now where the seats were and everything. That's where weight will go. And then this is where that front bumper came in. I had to put that in there. And I just JB welded it. Had to put the windshield, had to put this in first. And then I had to put the windshield in there. And then I had to put the tonneau cover in there because the tonneau cover slips in that engine right there. So anyway, sometimes you got to save some of your interiors. Just cut them, trim them, make them fit, super glue them, or JB weld them in there and they'll hold. Because sometimes just for the aesthetics of the car, you got to have some of your interiors. But remember, again, like I said, this Aston Martin over here, I chucked the interior on that because I don't need it. And it's a one rivet thing. This thing slips in right here and it pops in. I ain't gonna put it together just yet, but it slips in like that right there and slips over, and you gotta finagle this thing. But anyway, it goes on there, trust me, there we go. You get it on there a little bit more. I gotta work it a little more, but anyway, it goes on there like that, and I don't need the interior on it. It's gone. No purpose. Just gets in the way of the weights. All right. All right, and some of the questions, I'm going to try to start answering some questions that pop up like on 3D Bot Maker's page or my page when people ask me some questions. And a recent one, somebody asked about the Pro Circuit wheels. The good thing about Pro Circuits is a lot of times they're good rollers right out of the blister. Like I said, you can't graphite that car, and that's not too bad. And it's a pretty looking wheel too. But these have never been sanded. I ran this thing stock one time, and it did pretty good. But the thing about it is you'd have to pop these caps off, which is kind of iffy. You could bend the axle doing that to get graphite in there. And another thing is, if these caps are on there, number one, you can't graphite it, and you can't slide the wheel back like this right here to polish the axles. Because when we polish the axle, we're going to have all the stuff slid back like this here, and we're going to be working on this part of the axle when we polish it. But the Pro Circuits and Johnny Lightnings, they've got these caps on them here. And so they're hard to graphite, and you can't polish them. You can't graphite and polish them unless you take these little caps off. Now, I know Johnny Lightnings do, but I have never actually taken a Pro Circuit apart. But I'm assuming that's just a pop-in little cap that you just pop it in there. So you could probably get it off, and then you could graphite them, polish them, and then put them back together. But to me, that's too much work. I would just find an FTE package and slap in this thing and save these wheels for something else, because they're actually pretty good wheels. Not bad, actually. All right. But now, getting back to your weight dynamics, though. This Fiero here, it snapped in good that time. Like I said, I'm going to keep this center of gravity low in this thing. I'm going to put 2 more stacks of this up in here, and it still should be not even as high as the door right here. And of course, I'll paint them black to hide them and everything. But see, I can put this one thing in right here, and just this one goes in from the back side, and it snaps down, and we're ready to rock. Well, not quite. Hard to do this sometimes with. There we go. But anyway, I got plenty of room. See, I'm deep down in there. I got a good little thing. I still got a nice little cavity. I can put some weight in there. So getting this car up to 90 some grams is not going to be much of a problem, I don't think. Because like I said, I know I can go, this is one layer, and I know I can go 2 or 3 more. And then maybe even put some back here or something. So I know I'll be able to get some weight in this car. That is not going to be a problem. And like I said, I experiment with these point loads. You know, put them in here, center, whatever. That's something I'm goofing off with, and that just is something I came up with from being like I said, a general contractor by trade. Point loads. So I know how point loads do. They transfer the stuff down, and that weight should transfer down from the top of that cube all the way down to the bottom of this metal chassis. So same square as that cube is coming all the way down. That's a point load. All right, guys. That's weight dynamics. Let me see if I can think of anything else somebody asked something about. Oh, polishing axles and graphiting. We are going to get to that probably in the next episode. We're probably going to do polishing axles first, and then we're going to do graphiting second. I'll have to move this thing around to a different station because I got 4 stations here. This is like the main one where we tear them down, put them back together. We sand the wheels, we wheel farm. That happens here. Then we got the polishing station. We got the graphite bay, and then, of course, we got where we set the axles on the jig and stuff like that. But we'll get to we're going to get to everything. We're going to get to polishing axles. We're going to get to graphiting. Somebody said they'd like to see a series on the entire build from the ground up. Might do that as well. But I'll keep looking at you, the questions you ask, like on the YouTube channel, on 3D Bot Maker's page, any other pages I'm coming across. I'll try to answer some questions. I'll try to get you faster. Got some exciting news. I'm from a buddy of mine I race with out in Utah, Diecast64. He's going to be making a new series called D64E. I guess the E stands for extra. I don't know. But anyway, Robbie's going to be doing some stuff like this right here. And I'm going to be watching that because I would love to sit down. If I had one of the people I love brains I would love to pick would be Robbie at Diecast 64. Great top builder, smart fella. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in that if Robbie starts putting out some tutorials like I'm doing here because Robbie knows what he's doing as well. He's also got a great video on his channel, which is racehotwheels.com. And he's actually got a video of like weights and all the formulas and stuff they use, which is, I get it, but I'm not going to go into all that stuff. We're going to kind of keep it, simple here. But anyway, I would advise y'all to check out Diecast 64 on YouTube. Online, it's racehotwheels.com. I'll leave the link into the video here because Robbie's going to have some good stuff to offer. Robbie was one of the first people I discovered when I got into the hobby. He's been doing this longer than I have, and he got me on the right track. I actually found Diecast 64 before I found Redline Derby. So there's lots of stuff out there, guys. Look for it. And like I said, you get faster. I'm going to do all I can to get you faster. And like I said, I'm pretty sure next time we're going to go get into axle polishing. And so I got some stuff on that. We'll talk about, mainline axles, nickel-plated axles, that kind of thing. We'll talk about the differences, what you can do to one, what you can't do to the other, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to eventually tie all this stuff up, and so you've got a pretty good start to finish what you need to do, how you need to do it. And I'm most certainly going to tell you about other places, like Diecast 64, or, his webpage is racehotwheels.com, all the stuff he's got going on. Because, my goal is to get everybody faster because this hobby is fun. When you learn, you progress, you make gains, you set goals, you reach them, and then, you get smarter and you get faster. It's trial by error. But you know what I'm going to tell you? It don't matter how much interiors we make fit nice, point loads, weights, Aston Martins, Fieros. It don't mean a hill of beans if them wheels them things are sitting on aren't good. So you got to wheel farm. You have to wheel farm. That's first and foremost. Because you can make it as pretty as you want to, win a beauty contest, be the best shelf sitter you've ever seen. But if you ain't got good wheels under that thing, your chances aren't good. It's like I said earlier. You do all the weight dynamics right, but you don't wheel farm, and you got the homeboy who's done all his weight dynamics wrong, but he wheel farms, got a good set of wheels, he's probably going to beat you. That's just how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. So it all ties in together, but it don't mean squat if we don't wheel farm, and that's the bottom line. All right, because I'm always come back to that, man, because we gotta have wheels that roll. All right, y'all. That's it for this thing. Like I said, we'll get into polishing some axles next time. We'll talk about nickel-plated axles, mainline axles, all that kind of stuff. We'll get you on the right track because I don't want everybody to think that you have to use nickel-plated axles. You do not. You do not. I know plenty of guys that are blisteringly fast, like Red Pill Racing, MDG Racing, Nick Devers Racing. Those guys don't always use nickel-plated axles. So you can, so don't think speed lies strictly in a nickel-plated axle. That is not correct. You can then make a mainline axle very fast, very lethal. All right, guys. Like I said, this is a Charger summer build here. All the stuff will fall out of it now, but anyway, getting these things done, man. King of the Mountain, Charger summer, racing's going on. Like I said, tune in next time. We'll do some talk about the polishing the axles. We'll get you going on that. And then after the polishing the axles, we'll get into graphite. And like I said, we're going to cover it all. But anyway, that'll going to wrap up our weight dynamics. And like I said, don't fall in love with the interiors. Chuck them if you can. And number one, wheel farm. None of it makes a poop if we don't wheel farm. All right, guys. Peace and speed. League of Speed out.